kid, when we read the book How I Met My Monster, we saw how a group of monsters had to compete to become the chosen under-the-bed monster for one kid. The auditions were brutal.
The competition was monstrous.
Genghis?
Out.
Morgan?
Out.
Abigail?
Out.
Oh! And in the end, only Gabe the monster was left standing. Which brings us to, I need my monster. A phrase you'll never hear me say. I smell a bat. I just know Batticus Finch was here, wasn't he? Oh, it was bat, I smell a bat. But you know how it is. We all need something to help us go to sleep. Maybe it is a special blankie, or a special pillow, or a special stuffy.
Or 17 KidTime StoryTimes.
Or 17 KidTime StoryTimes. Or in this case, a monster. Everybody has their thing, right? And here we are.
Tonight, when I looked under the bed for my monster, I found this note instead.
Gone fishing. Back in a week. Gabe. Wait, monsters go fishing?
It's not what you think.
Please explain, Fuchsia Fish.
They like to put their feet in the water and talk to us.
That's it?
They find it relaxing. Bloop, 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 bloop.
She's right. That's not what I pictured. Also, let's look at the picture. And we know that the kid is named Ethan because Ethan's room, where we see original monster artwork. The kid is really a monster aficionado. We have some KidTime StoryTimes. We have some toys. We have beautiful moonlight filtering in through the window. But what we don't have is the monster.
What was I gonna do? I needed a monster under my bed. How was I supposed to get to sleep if my monster was gone? I tried to sleep, but it wasn't the same without Gabe. I missed his ragged breathing. His nose whistling. The scrabbling of his uncut claws. Ah, music to my ears. How would I ever get to sleep without Gabe's familiar scary noises and his spooky green ooze?
Ah, yes, if I recall, spooky green ooze was how Gabe enjoyed beginning the night. Sort of a classic opening move.
It was no use. Gabe would be gone for a week, and I just had to have a monster. I climbed quietly out of bed so my parents wouldn't hear me. Grown-ups have some strange ideas about monsters under beds. I knocked on the floorboards, then scrambled back under my covers. I waited nervously. Would a new monster appear? What would he be like? Would his snorting be as cheerful as Gabe's?
Oh, I see exactly what this young man is doing. Looking for his monster's understudy. You mean a monster who can step in for the main monster should the main monster be unable to fulfill his duties that night because he's, say, on vacation, fishing, or some other reason? Exactly. I mean, if your teacher can sometimes have a substitute, a monster should be able to exercise the same liberty.
When I heard some creaking under my bed, I knew that the substitute monster had arrived.
And blink, blink, there he is. Good evening, said a low, breathy voice. My name is Herbert, and I will be your monster for the evening.
Herbert? What kind of a name is that for a monster? You don't sound scary at all.
Ooh, I like it when he's judgmental.
Have you ever scared a kid before?
Well, no, but I have read all the best books on the topic. Well, that's a start.
Do you have long teeth and scratchy claws?
No, but I have an overbite, and I'm a mouth breather. Listen.
Herbert's parenting was kind of scary, but it wasn't enough for me.
Wow, this kid, he's tough on his monsters.
Listen, Herbert, I'm sorry. I just don't think this is going to work.
He's already breaking up with a monster who just got here like 30 seconds ago?
It's nothing personal.
That's what they always say.
But I really need a monster with claws.
Picky, Herbert complained. As you wish, I'll go.
There was some more creaking.
Then Herbert was gone. Goodbye, Herbert. We barely knew you.
Some scratching.
Oh, there it is.
Warned me that a second monster had appeared.
Good evening,
He said in a high, silky voice.
My name is Ralph. I understand you need a monster with claws. If you would please lean over, I will hold out an arm for inspection. Oh, okay. And by the way, not only does this monster, Ralph, have claws, but a lovely assortment of eyeballs.
I crouched on the edge of the bed, hoping to see a horrible, shaggy arm with sharp, ragged nails.
Here we go.
Instead, I was surprised to see sleekly brushed fur with smooth, shiny claws. Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude.
Which is exactly what everyone says right before they say something rude.
But is that nail polish on your claws?
Yes, it is, Ralph replied. I believe professional monsters should always be well groomed.
I could tell that this was not going to work either.
And the judgments keep coming.
I'm sorry to disappoint you, Ralph, but I need a monster with scary claws. Like Gabe's, I thought. I heard some more scratching, and I knew Ralph was gone.
Goodbye, Ralph. I did approve of your fine grooming. Another one bites the dust.
A minute later, a third voice from under the bed rasped.
Check out these claws, kid.
I gathered my courage and I peered over the edge. The claws were impressive, jagged and dark and razor sharp.
Look at how they gleam in the moonlight.
So far, so good. I was a little nervous. Could you stick out your tail? I whispered.
Sure, but don't get scared.
I peeked through my fingers at the slimy tail slithering over the foot of my bed, and that's when I noticed the bow. Are you a girl monster?
Of course I am,
she snapped.
I'm Cynthia. Do you have a problem with that?
Yeah, I do. I definitely need a boy monster. Boy monsters are for boys, and girl monsters are for girls. Everybody knows that.
What? I had never heard of this rule.
Well, aren't you a picky one? And then she was gone.
After a lot of oozing, slimy, slithery sounds, this just blows my mind. I didn't know that there was this rule in existence. Rejected!
Was I being too picky? No! Yes!
No!
I knew that my monster needed to be well-clawed and menacing. And look at Ethan in the bed, and in his imagination, he's thinking of all the things that he requires in a monster. Because I think we've confirmed that Ethan is picky. And there have to be claws, and there have to be spikes, and there have to be tails, and possibly some drool, and some fangs. The whole point of having a monster, after all, was to keep me in bed, imagining all the scary stuff that could happen if I got out.
Otherwise, this kid is up and out of bed all night long and is not well rested in the morning, which makes him the monster.
Then I heard a shuffling noise and some slobbering. A fourth monster was under my bed.
Hey, my name's Mac.
One look at his claws proved that Mac was a big, scruffy boy monster. I shivered. Maybe this one would work out. Those are excellent claws, but do you have a long tail? I leaned over to see.
No, my tail is stumpy,
Max slurped.
but I do have an unusually long tongue.
Why would I be afraid of a long tongue?
Oh, I don't know. Trying to sound terrifying. You never know when I might lick you. Ta-da!
I fell back on the bed, laughing.
That's hilarious. What is this, a comedy monster? You're both judgmental. Well, if you're not even gonna try to work with me,
Mac whined. I held in my giggles.
I really don't think you should send me away,
he warned.
Kids who reject 5 monsters in one night.
I cannot reject 5 monsters tonight, I interrupted. My regular monster went fishing.
Oh, fishing, eh? Maybe he just left because you're so picky. Fine, I'm out of here, but I wouldn't expect another monster tonight if I were you. Goodbye, Mac. You should probably try the comedy circuit, though. How was I ever going to get to sleep without my monster?
I was surprised to hear more creaking under the bed. Loud creaking with scratching. I thought no more monsters were going to appear tonight, I said.
Sorry I'm late, kid.
Woo! It was Gabe!
And as you can see, what I mentioned earlier, that signature starter move of Gabe's, the oozing green drool, whoop, there it is. I thought I would enjoy fishing, but I didn't, he explained. Those fish scare too easily, no challenge at all. You, however, are challenging, my friend. You're almost too old to be afraid of monsters. You keep me on my toes. Ah, toes. A delicious snack. If you don't know this already, you should know that Gabe has a thing for children's toes. The bed quivered as Gabe's stomach rumbled, rumble, with hunger. Now, if you don't mind, I'd like to start the evening with an ominous puddle of drool.
I peeked over the edge of the bed. Green ooze spread soundlessly from underneath.
Oddly enough, the kid looks super happy about it, and even the stuffy doesn't seem disturbed at all.
Then the bed trembled as Gabe unfurled his spiked tail. He was daring me to guess where he might pop up. I shivered, and the glass of water's going flying, and so is the alarm clock, and everything in the room is just whoa.
So, you had some substitute monsters tonight,
Gabe said, sharpening his claws on my bedpost.
Rude. Were you scared?
Then Gabe started tapping. I could tell he wanted to know if I still needed him. No other monster can scare me like you, I giggled, diving under my covers and pulling them up tight. Through the blanket, I heard Gabe's soft, comforting snort.
I knew it. We're made for each other,
he growled. When my blanket started to slip off the bed, I knew Gabe was ready to eat.
Now, if you could please stick out your foot, I'd like to nibble your pinky.
Ah! I yanked my blanket up and I scrunched my feet in so Gabe couldn't get them.
And that's how Gabe keeps Ethan in the bed all night, because otherwise, bye-bye toes.
No toes tonight, but you can have this, I offered, pushing a pillow off the bed. I didn't even hear it hit the floor.
I think there's a pillow no more.
Gabe was back. The ooze was perfect.
The right temperature, the right shade of green.
Everything was back to normal. I shivered again. I'd be asleep in no time.
Bloop, bloop, bloop. I just want to say that Gabe was bluffing about the fish being scared
Oh, was he, Fuchsia Fish? And why did he say that?
because he just thought the water was cold and he wanted to show off like a big boy monster. Bloop, 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 bloop.
You know, and I'm glad that Ethan was able to get his monster back and get a good night's sleep. But I still can't get over the whole anti-girl monster situation. I mean, I happen to know for a fact that girl monsters can be just as scary as boy monsters. I know there's a bat around here. I know it. I can smell it. I can smell it. I want a bat. Bat stew! Bat stew! Exhibit A.